See that red light?
Uh-huh.
Means you're on camera.
You're not running the camera, you're just focusing.
No,
You don't have that thing on.
The red light means it's on. Do you see the red light?
Yes, I certainly do not turn it off like a good son.
That means it's on. And see, what you can do is...
You're taking pictures.
And then you can...
Are you or aren't you? You got the thing going, haven't you? I should turn it completely around so nobody can see me.
Do I close up?
No, I don't want to be on camera altogether. I photographed terrible and you know it. You got your finger over the red thing. Did you turn it off or are you just adjusting the lens? Now what do you...
I'm just doing a close-up.
It's not fair. Hello, everybody. Do you have video on this too?
Huh?
Do we have video on this? I mean, they can hear us?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, don't you have anything to say?
I don't have anything to say except it's nice to be here, and I wish my son would turn it off because these things always bother me.
Are you having a good time?
I'm having a wonderful time. The weather's a little warm, but not too bad. Right now I think it's going to pour, but then the sun comes out and it stops looking like it's going to rain. Though I heard thunder and lightning last night. Nobody else did, but I did.
I heard it. Everyone heard it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
No, Manna, not Jean.
Manna said she heard it.
How could she? She can't hear anything and it was quiet as could be.
It was pretty loud. The thunder?
No.
It was pretty loud.
What else? Anyway, we're having a wonderful time. We are going to a movie tonight, and then we're going to have a bite to eat. That's all we seem to do is eat, and more eat. And that's about it. And I'm hoping John will turn this thing off very quickly. But he's not because he's playing with it, and he's looking through it. And goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. No, it's still on. Goodbye, everybody.
I'll take the ads. I want to put some nail polish on. How about this? Do you want this?
No, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
Hello, John. Oh, it's on?
It is
It's
on
on.
now.
The red light's on. Hi, John.
What's the date today?
Today is...
June
Oh, wait a minute. We left before 21st.
21st,
Friday?
1991. Here we are in lovely Lathrop Village with
Ruth, Maureen,
and Manna. Manna, what we want to do is get to know you a little better.
You want to repeat that again?
You gotta yell.
Well, you say something.
Oh, he wants you to talk. He wants you to talk about when you came over from Russia, or if you remember anything about Russia. Whatever you want to talk about, or just
any
life,
story, any old story that you have. I don't care what it's about.
I am 86 and a half.
That's true.
My birthday is December the 26th, 1904. I was born Hanukkah, when the bridge burned down. And when we came here, we had to go to the rabbi in order to figure out a date for my birthday. And the rabbi said, Hanukkah comes out around Christmas, so I was born a day after Christmas, December the 26th, 1904.
The reason for that is because no records were kept in Europe. No.
Years ago, they never kept a record. They didn't even write it in a book.
No, it was nothing like
At
that.
Hanukkah, you were born when the rain, things like that. They'd have a certain date for everything. And came here when I was 5 years old, or 6 years. I think I was more than 5. I must have been around 6 because I remember things, and I don't think a 5-year-old would remember as much as I do.
What do you remember?
I remember Ellis Island.
Do you remember the boat trip at all?
I remember the boat trip, steerage. I remember the three of us shared one cot. Wasn't comfortable. I just,
Was it just you, Bobby? Just you and Bobby and Uncle
Bobby
Jack?
and I and Uncle Jack.
That's it, the three of
Yeah.
you. Zadie was here already?
Sure.
Yeah.
My father was here for 3 years. He was waiting for us, but he was waiting in New York for us when we got there. We were at Ellis Island for one whole week. And I remember a little bit about Russia. I remember that we had a stucco. The house was, it was one room, really. Everything was one room. But it was a room large enough, a square room, that's all. We slept in the back, or we had an oven that was built in the house. And when the soldiers would come, and we were afraid of being abused, we'd all crawl into the oven. And our neighbors would tell us the soldiers are coming, and also would tell us when they would leave. And my dad was here for 3 years, and then we were very happy. He sent us money, and we're on our way. My mother made all our clothes. We have pictures taken just before we got on the Bremen, February the 10th, 1910.
So she was.
I had the passports. But
Then Harry and Phil were born here.
Harry and Phil were born here. Phil, I'm 7 years older than Phil, and I think I was 12 years older than Harry. Harry and Phil were born in Detroit, Michigan. I think you'll have to ask Phil where they were born. One could have been born in Blair, Ohio. And we had box lunches, whatever it was. The food was, and they kept us there for a week, studying us, examining us, making sure. And the worst thing for me was that they fed us bananas because they must have had more, and I ate the banana with the peel. And I thought everybody in the United States was crazy. It took years before I would touch a banana. Now I like them.
Yeah, she's won a date for the potassium.
And I remember.
Now, how long did you stay in New York? You didn't live in New York.
1 week. We were in Ellis Island, locked up.
Okay, and then you went from New York, you went right back to Blair, Ohio?
New York.
Do you
Our
remember?
father was there.
Yeah.
And the four of us, went to Blair, Ohio, because he was in business there.
What business?
Junk business.
You want some water?
Yeah, give me a little water. That's when we changed our name.
What did you change it to?
Stevens.
Wait. Who are you?
I'm John.
And how are you related to this lady?
That's right.
I don't remember. I was very young when our relationship began. This is my grandma, otherwise known as Manna.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, sit down. I'm going to sit over
You don't
here.
have to stand while you can't.
So your father was in the junk business.
He was in partners with his brother?
With his brother, and they were doing very, very well. But every time he had to take $10 to the bank and write out the name Stevelman, Steivelman. Well, because he went to school when he got there. That's what he learned how first, to sign his name, to write his name. Because my father could write English and could read a little bit. He was very good at that because he was in business. So the bank manager told him, change your name. As long as you're here, you don't need a long name like that. So they cut it short.
So they changed it to Stevens.
Stevens.
And I need to interrupt you for a second. You know, Mom, you're on camera. So as long as you stare off into the distance with that look on your face, that's what people are going to remember you by in 50 years.
Is she on camera too?
We're all on camera.
You are.
But it is focused on you.
What do you
But it's
want
got
me
a
to
wide lens. Just don't, go ahead, get the phone.
I remember when my mother, I remember when my mother took
Hold
me
on, David.
to kindergarten.
Hello?
Tell him that he's on
Yes, you're on
videotape.
video. We're taking a movie of John's grandmother. Would you like to say anything? Hold on. Say hello. I'm going to hold the phone up. Say hello. Okay.
What am I supposed to do? I'm just sitting listening.
Dance.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh, I'm daydreaming. I sometimes.
David, come on over. I'm telling him all about my sex life.
How do you like the Manchurian Candidate?
He hated it. He fell asleep.
You're kidding.
Like we did of Grandma, remember? So we got John's grandma here telling stories about when she came from Russia.
Can you call him back?
Your
Well, what do you
grandmother
want?
would remember.
What do you want? Oh, what do you need to discuss? Yeah, but tell me what it's
Should
about.
I stop the
I'll call you
tape?
back. Why? Is something wrong?
Ruth is talking to her brother. You have
I'm
to
gonna
explain.
stop the tape.
Hold on a minute,
I'm turning the tape off. Hold on.
Talk to me privately.
You guys are back on.
Okay.
We had to take a break for the phone call. Now we're back.
Do you remember when you moved to Detroit, or why you moved?
If you got it,
Now
What's that?
listen, hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
You've got 100 million stories that you always tell when you're not on camera.
The jokes?
About, I mean, not jokes.
about
I mean,
Bobby?
what about like your mother or
Want to tell about Bobby Laker?
or when you guys were gonna get kicked out of your apartment?
oh, you want all those?
Sure, yeah.
When were we going to get kicked
Not.
out? Oh, not them.
Go ahead, tell one. You've got at least 1,000.
About the clock.
About the one?
The clock? You remember that one? What's the time? She called Jimmy to call her at 9 o'clock sharp.
Oh, you mean her stories?
Yes, that's what John's talking
You
about.
want to hear them?
Sure.
Anyhow, we moved to Detroit. My mother took me. She started me in kindergarten in Blair, Ohio. Now, mother couldn't speak English at that time. Maybe she knew one or two words, no or yes. So she takes me to the school. Now she's got to give me a name. My Jewish name is Masha.
Hey,
She can't.
Jesus.
She can't put me in as Basha.
Yeah, hold on. David.
Oh, David!
Hang up the phone.
What?
We're on tape right now.
So I was lucky. I got a very pretty name. My name is now Betty because there was a woman there with a little girl that she was starting. And when she asked my mother what my name was, my mother pointed to the little girl and her good name was Betty. So my name became Betty Stevelman at that time. And then we changed our name to Stevens.
All right, we'll do
My
it.
brothers loved it, but I never did. I didn't look like a Stevens, but it was.
You didn't yell at him?
Yeah, you did.
Now, it didn't take long. We must have been in Blair, Ohio a couple years, and my mother's sister who lived in Blair, Ohio with us. That's why we ended up there. They wanted to move to Detroit, Michigan, because here you can make $1 million. So my father gave up the business, and we all moved to Detroit, Michigan. And that's when everything turned upside down. My father worked, and I must have been about 10 or 11. We were there a few years. He worked for the railroad, and he had an accident, and he lost his leg. Now he's an amputee, and he can't work. Now, my mother told us, we don't want to be poor, so we all have to work. So my brother Phil worked. He must have been about 7 or 8, 9 years old then. Harry helped him out. That's the baby. I worked from 12 years old. I worked. I always lied about my age. I worked. And my brother Jack was the oldest one. He was the leader of the group until we had to go to court because we were being kicked out of our house. And when we got to court, the judge said, somebody from the Stevens family, and my brother pokes me, and I must have been about 12 or 13 years old. I looked at him. He was 4 years older, but he was very quiet. Jack, okay, I'm not afraid of him. I woke up, and he asked me to tell my story, and I told him. We work very hard for our money, and we pay him every week. He gets a little bit every week, and he's evicting us. Now he's tried that quite a few times. You can't pay it all at one time. We tried, and the judge said, case dismissed. And he told Mr. Trunsky, don't ever bother these people again. Mr. Trunsky was our attorney. And I had a psychiatrist when I was 60 years old, and his name was Trunsky.
Belle Greenbaum on the phone for you.
Ask her if I can call her. Okay.
Take the call. We'll put it on stop.
Belle, I'm on tape. Are you home? Everything all right?
We're back.
She knew how to sign her name.
Yeah, she knew how to.
Yes,
she
did.
learned to speak English.
And her English was very good.
Yeah. She went to school forever, but she never
She
got
went
out
to
of
school
kindergarten.
forever. She was waiting for a diploma, but she never got it.
How long did she go to school for?
I don't know, for 10
Years
years.
and years. 10
But
or
she
12.
learned to sign her own name.
She wanted to sign
She
her
couldn't
own.
read English, though, but she could speak it. But she
Speak it very nicely.
She talked Jewish to the dog, though. He understood her.
Do you remember, do you know the time that she had so many things happen to her? My father was an invalid. That's all he did was sit on a chair. And my grandchildren, my daughter, the other day someone asked me, what kind of a man was your father? He was the nicest, the quietest. He never opened his mouth. He never said, don't do this, don't do that, behave yourself. We never got hit by my father, but we got slapped around every once in a while by my mother. She was
I don't
the
remember
boss.
my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And I was his nurse. I took care of him. I used to take care of his leg. He had an artificial leg and he used to wear it. And it's a horrible thing. And he used to get infected, whatever it is. Anyhow, so my father becomes very ill, and we find out that it's stomach cancer, and that's the end. And we've got a problem. Because as we're growing up, my mother tells us, we either go to the welfare or we all go to work. And we did. But she was an ambitious woman. We
She was a
moved in
bootlegger,
front
too.
of the Bishop School. This school, we rented a home. The front of our home had a picture window. She took the glass out and put a wooden drop in it that we could pull open, because we became we were selling apple suckers to the children across the street. She got a recipe to make apple suckers, and she'd make them herself. At recess time, let me tell you, I was there, Jack was there, Phil. We all used to go out. Those kids used to run in. They did. I'm surprised they didn't knock the building down, because they were a penny apiece, you know. And that's the way we did. But we all had to go to work. And of course, I worked. I worked whatever I did, grocery store. I did everything. If I brought $5 home a week, it was money.
So
And
you were
we all
apple
worked.
sucker
Jack was
sellers.
I think my grandmother didn't she have a vegetable or a fruit store or something?
That's after.
I know she made wine in the back.
That's after we got
She was a
married.
bootlegger for a while too.
After we got
I bet
married.
everybody was.
After we got married, she opened up a grocery store in Alger. That's right.
Now I remember my Bubby. Now she was the nicest lady, quiet, never complained. We could have burned the house down and she probably would have patted us on the head and said,
Which
"That's
Bobby
nice."
you mean?
Who are you
Bobby
talking
Laker.
about?
Bobby Laker.
Who's that?
Okay.
Nana's mother. She was a nice grandmother. I won't tell you about my other grandmother.
She's a beautiful woman. Anyhow, the years go by. Now I've got to look for a job. Now I must have been about 15 or 16. Now you've got to be 18 years old to get a job. But my brother was already working and making $25 or $20 a week. Now I've got to get a job too. And I went to the 8th grade, no more. I don't like to admit it, but that's the truth. I always say that I went to college for 1 year, but I'm a little bit of a liar. Anyhow.
Notice how people laugh when she says a little bit of a liar. Okay, go ahead.
Anyhow, I went to night school and I took up typing and shorthand. I wasn't very good at shorthand, but I still could do it. And then I started looking for a job, because what I was doing was, I worked in the grocery stores and drugstores. I was cleaning up. I couldn't sell. They wouldn't let me anyhow. Now I'm about 15. I think I was 15 or 16. I don't know. And I see an ad in the paper for a job, and I apply. And the young lady at in the office, when I walked in, she says, "You haven't got a chance." I said, "Well, I'm answering an ad in the paper." She says, "There's no sense. You won't be accepted." I says, "Why?" She's, "Because you're Jewish." And I thought I looked beautiful. I had spit curls, you know, and bangs. My eyes were closed up completely, Brett. I said, "Well, I'm up here to see a Mr. Clancy, because his name was in the ad, and I'm going to see him." And Okay, so I'm not going to argue with you. And Mr. Clancy calls me in, and I walk in, and I'm standing. He doesn't ask me to sit down. I'm standing. He says, "Your name is Betty Stevens?" I says, "Yes, sir." He says, takes about a minute or two, and then out come these words. "Are you Jewish?" I says, "Yes, sir." And then he stops. As Mr. Clancy, "Are you Irish?" "You're Catholic, aren't you?" "Well, I'm a conservative Jewish young lady." Stops a second. "Come to work Monday morning." And I started at $25 a week. So I'm a millionaire already. When I came home, my mother, because all the money went to her, everything went to her. Anyhow, the years went by. I'm the first one to get married. And the only reason I got married, because I proposed to my husband. If I wouldn't have said, "I want to get married and we're getting engaged," that would, we used to double date. My Ida Bloomfield and myself were girlfriends from the 8th grade on. No, before that, we were girlfriends. Very, very close. She got acquainted with a young man by the name of Harry Katz. And Harry had a cousin whose name was Herman Gatch. And she said, "You got to fix up my girlfriend," and that was me. So we started to double date. Now they needed me, and they needed High because we had a problem. Ida's mother and father did not like Harry. They used to call him the Trombonik.
The bum. The troublemaker.
Which means, anyhow.
Which he was.
No. But we used to work it out. High would pick up Ida. Harry would pick me up. Then we would meet and change partners.
And then they change partners again and go.
That went on for 2 years until High and I got married. And after High and I got married...
Didn't Harry and I get married before you?
No.
Oh, after?
We got married first. They got married right afterwards. And by that time...
Wait a second. Weren't their parents surprised?
Yeah.
When you and...
Oh, they already knew by then.
them?
How many times can you do it without being caught? That's right. So that's it. So that's the way, and anyhow, we got married.
What year was that?
1926.
And then you were born...
I had a
27.
27.
Huh? You were...
I thought you were born. I
When
thought you
were
were
you
married 2 years before.
I was married...
25?
I was born in 27. Oh, I don't want to tell him that.
It's too late. Oh, she was just kidding.
24. I was married about 2 years.
I should get
24,
that.
25.
Open the closet, you'll ruin your whole.
No, leave it alone. It's close
I'll
enough.
get it later. We'll show
Yeah.
it. We'll show the wedding
And
picture
Jimmy was
later.
born in...
I can show that on
Never
the
mind.
tape.
You gonna show the wedding picture?
Well, yeah, we want to get a then and now to see how you
That's good,
blossom.
that's good, that's
since
right.
then.
You look better now than there.
And I quit my job, which was wrong. I've got to tell you something about my life with Realty Development and Mr. Clancy. He used to call me youngster. He wanted to adopt me. When I went there, my English, the worst thing in school was my English. I used to get mixed up with the verbs and the nouns and the pronouns and that's what we had. I didn't have math, thank God. I had arithmetic. Anyhow, I was good in everything except that. So, I was in an office where eventually, I was there a year, and he put me in the office where Esther was. That's a little office in the front when you walk in, just like me. Now, we had 40 salesmen, and I had to go to the meetings. I had to pick the right salesman to sell Ojibwe. That's the property we had in Canada. And I was put in charge of that. And for 5 years I did that, 4 years. The first year I did a little typing, a little shorthand. Later on I did nothing but typing. And he put me in charge, and that's what I used to do. But I was always worried, should I say he's laying down or he isn't laying, or lying down? I was worried about the way I would. And one day, he called me in. He said, I'm going to correct something that you said, but before I do it, I'm going to tell you something, and this is going to be easy. When you speak to someone, say it to yourself first, and if it sounds right, it's right. Because if it's wrong, it'll sound wrong. And that's the way you're going to learn between a verb and adverb. And that's the way I learned how to talk to these men, to say the right word when we didn't want them. And even now, once in a while, I stop to think, and I think I'm
my spelling was good. Remember the O-R-R?
How long did you work for him?
5 years.
And then you got married.
Then I got married.
What was his first name?
Rockwell Paul Clancy.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I'll never forget him. And then I forgot about him. I had a baby. He wanted me to keep in touch with him. He was such a boy. He was like a father to me. Wonderful. Just unbelievable. And that's all. He came to the wedding, and the shul, when I think of the wedding, when I came to my mother made the wedding herself, did all the cooking and everything. When I came to the synagogue, we were married in a small shul. They had something the night before, and they had spilled oil all over the floor. I said, Ma, she'll get it out, but she couldn't get it out. I'm through now.
You want to hold it for 1 sec?
Yeah.
All right, now who are these people? I've got the picture. Point to people here. Can you?
That's Roy Decker, I believe.
A cousin of ours.
Uncle Jack,
My brother.
my father, and Jack Brilliant, a friend of his. My cousin Isabel.
She's gone too.
Is that Francis Lipkin or the other one?
Well, let me see.
And Gatch.
My
And I don't know which is Francis.
And who's that beauty in the middle?
Who's that?
that's Gene Decker.
Oh, Gene Decker. Gene
She's
Decker and
a cousin,
Francis
yeah,
Lipkin.
Yeah.
Those are cousins.
And here's the ravishing bride.
All right, and there she is.
Miss America.
I'm sure he's going to see it. The one about the scale.
That's a good one. Tell that one.
All right, so we're going to start this second part with a joke, right?
Right.
All right, so go ahead. That's a good one.
Am I on?
You're on.
I'm on. My children want me to tell a story. This is not the nicest story, but it's a funny story. And I hope that all of you will accept it the right way. This is a story about a lady waiting for her...
You're not telling it as a joke.
Waiting for her airplane at the airport. And she has 2 suitcases that she's lugging around, and her plane is late, and she's very disgusted. And she's walking back and forth and really bored and everything else, when all of a sudden she sees a scale. And well, got nothing to do. She might as well put a dime in and see what the scale is going to tell her. She puts her suitcases down, puts in a dime, out comes the card. You weigh 140 pounds, and 1 minute later, you are going to leave a fart. And so, she laughs at the scale, she gets off, bends over to pick up her suitcases, and she lets out a whopper. Everybody's looking at her, she's embarrassed, she can't get away from her fast enough. She walks a little distance. She's, what the heck kind of a scale is that? She's got to go back and try again. So she puts her suitcases down next to the scale, puts another dime in, out comes a card. You weigh 140 pounds, and in 1 minute you're going to get laid. Well, that sounds ridiculous too, so she doesn't pay any attention. As she's bending over to pick up the suitcases, she never got there. Somebody grabs her and pulls her in a room in the back, and she gets a bang like she's never had in her life. By that time, she's already puzzled. She gets up, brushes herself off. She's got to go back to the scale. She just can't understand that scale. What is the third card going to be? So she goes back to the scale with the suitcases, puts in the dime, and now up comes the card. Lady, you weigh 140 pounds. Between your fucking and your farting, you missed your aeroplane. You're supposed to laugh, everybody. You're supposed to laugh. Listen to me.
All right, that was a good one.
In Israel, don't get mad at me.
In Israel?
Our father's
Yeah,
name.
but why would he get mad?
I just don't want him to think that I'm still a nice lady, that's all.
Hasn't he heard any of your jokes?
Huh? No. I've never told one dirty joke in front of her. Have I, Ruth? Uh-uh.
No, really?
I've always behaved like a lady.
All right, so do you want to tell about how...
We got married and went to Niagara Falls for our honeymoon, and we get up to Niagara Falls, and at the wedding, a friend of ours, very dear friend, gave us the little box, a gift. And he said, when you get to the hotel, be sure and open it. We got to the hotel, and my husband was a very sexy guy, and he was so tired, he said, we're going to sleep right away. I said, no, we're not. We're going to see what's in that box, because it's a gift, and Abe said to be sure and open it. Well, he complained a little bit, but we opened it. Inside the box, there's a flashlight. And with the flashlight, there's a card. If you can't find her, use the flashlight. That was our first gift. And then we both went to bed, and that's the truth. And we get up in the morning, and I have a rash over my whole body.
What was he doing?
He wasn't doing a thing, but
That was the problem.
I was allergic to the sheets.
Oh.
We could have sued the Statler Hotel in Buffalo, I think it was. Where's Niagara Falls? I forgot. Anyhow, he took one look at me. He said, come on, get dressed, we're going home. And that was our honeymoon.
That was it?
Sure, we packed up, went home. I went to the doctor. I had salve on me from I had a rash over my whole body. But that was the beginning of my life with Herman Gatch. And it was a wonderful life. He was a wonderful husband. And second year of our marriage, no, not exactly, it was about a year that all of a sudden I tell him I'm pregnant, and he's very, very happy. And of course, the baby came, a little girl. Her name was supposed to be Miriam. We decided that because my mother and my family knew of some Miriam in the family, and I agreed. But I had the most gorgeous red-headed Irish nurse whose name was Maureen, and my daughter was named Maureen. And I was very happy she never changed it. Maureen Gatch.
Never thought of it, huh?
Whatever became of her?
Very good.
Did you ever hear from her? Is she
Never.
From Maureen?
Never.
The nurse? Or Maureen?
The daughter.
The daughter, I hear from her.
I yell a lot.
I want to tell you something. You know, John, I couldn't get along without her. Where would I go if she wasn't here? Who would want me? Jim doesn't want me. You and Ruth would never have the patience that she has.
I don't have any patience.
I do things sometimes, but if they'd only realize that I'm 86 years old, they would let it just go over their head. Okay. Anyhow, I need Maureen. I nag her to go to a doctor, have a medical. She hasn't had a medical in 50 years. She's waiting for Medicare. And I've already told my doctor, and he told me he'll give her a break, let her come in. I'm embarrassed. 4 years now she's been coming in.
All right.
Anyhow,
All right.
we're back to my married life. Anyhow, went to the hospital, had a nice little baby, 5 pounds. And
5 pounds?
And, yes. And my mother, of what I understand, tells the story. My husband was so disappointed he wanted a boy. So my mother told him, don't feel bad.
True.
Next year you'll have a boy. And 11 and a half months later.
You know, the only reason...
Can you cut that out? You got to.
All right.
He will when he fixes it.
Jim will hear that, right?
Yeah, no, we can edit it out. We can edit out anything.
Okay.
Because I'll copy it onto another
All
tape.
right,
And
all right.
Just
Edit it out.
I can.
But that's the truth.
Right, I know it. We all know it's the truth.
Yeah.
We all know it's the truth.
Have to wave or something?
We were afraid of that happening.
Well, I did the same thing. I went, oops. If you
Right.
run it, you'll see it. I went, oops, when I started to talk about something. I went,
Right.
Oh, please edit it.
We will.
She
Don't worry. He
will.
will.
Come
He will
on.
not see it.
All right.
With that portion in.
And so maybe she even knows, but in the meantime, it's no.
Right.
Okay.
What happens when he starts getting Social Security?
see, I can't figure
We don't
that
know
out
anything
either.
what's happening with Social Security.
Well, he's
Never
not ready
discusses
for it.
But he'll.
But eventually,
So-
Just a minute.
yeah, he's only got
Wait a
2
minute.
years.
Stop talking about it, because that's.
No, John's
No,
gonna
I'll
take
turn.
it
I'll
out.
take that
Okay,
out.
take that out.
When do you
Sometimes
guys
I
pay for
wonder.
that?
Huh? Well, let's skip it then for now.
All right,
'cause
go
we're taking
ahead.
up
Yeah.
too much time.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about. All
So
right,
you
so you
got two
had the
kids
second
now.
kid.
And the second
Been
kid,
married for a while.
and I got a raise and we moved for a change.
Every time my father got a raise,
Every
we
time.
moved.
That's
We moved every couple of years.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I remember living on 17.
Then I got a baby
Street.
grand. Yes. Then we started to live very nicely. I had help, steady help, and we started to socialize. And we had friends always going out. We went on cruises. We had 3 beautiful cruises. Our cruises were formal.
You know, you're on camera.
Oh. I'm sorry.
My husband had 3 dinner jackets. In fact, one dinner jacket he sent to Maddie. They had a wedding to go to, and he had the most gorgeous silver.
Really?
Yes.
I
Am I
think
right?
it's for Mark's bar mitzvah. If we look at the pictures,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You've got a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
That
brought a
sounds
dress
right.
from Nettie.
That sounds right.
The dress I'm wearing.
And he was a golfer. He also had 3 golf sets. You never got one. No, you were too young at that time. Yeah. Anyhow,
Whose did you use? Oh, you used
and
one.
then
Well, it
When
was.
you
we
were little,
socialized
when
quite a
you- When
bit.
you played with Nick.
we started taking bridge. There were 8 of us that took up bridge, and we became bridge players. There were 4 women and 4 men. Reba and Dave Coleman, Hy and myself, Ruth and Norman Cantor, and Bess and Harry Goodman.
What about Betty and Cy and Alice and Sam?
They weren't bridge players. No. Well, we moved on court
I don't
and we got
remember the
friendly
bridge
with.
playing.
No, we never socialized with Alice and Sam. We were neighbors and friendly neighbors, but we never took trips. We never went
We had
dancing.
Stop Haven with them.
We did.
Yeah.
The Fiddlemans?
No, Slatkins.
Oh, Slatkins.
All of us.
Oh, the children were young, but the neighbor of ours, yeah. We did that.
And the Carbles. And the Cantors.
The Carbles. Well, the Cantors were
Everybody.
cousins. Norman and Ruth Cantor were
You
cousins.
were Pearline.
Hy's cousin. Pearline.
Yeah.
Pearline
That's
belonged to Rose Rosenthal and Irv Rosenthal. That was family, all family. But our social crowd was Belle and Joe Staub. Would you like to hear what happened to
No.
her?
I don't think it belongs on this tape.
How is it a quick story?
It's a quick story.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
She committed suicide.
See what I mean?
Well, it's a quick story.
Her husband fell in love with the secretary and everything was fine and she had an idea. But when he came home one night, he wanted a divorce. And the next morning, he found her in the garage in the car.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's right.
It's worse than
That was the first casualty
explain
in
it.
our group. Esther and Lou Fiddler was our other couple that we were very close to. And she couldn't become pregnant. So they adopted a little girl. And when the little girl was 2 years old, she became pregnant.
Oh, really?
So there was Rita and Ruth. And Sylvia and Abe couldn't have any children, they wouldn't adopt. But this was our group. It was Sylvia and Abe Rosenberg, Belle and Joe Staub, Ida and Harry Kay. They were with us too, you know, they were. And Esther and Lou Fiddler. And we were friendly with Charlotte. We had other groups because we joined a Dot Shalom. There was about eight couples that all joined a Dot Shalom at one time. And we used to go to services and everything they had. And then, as the years went by, Maureen was growing up. I'll never forget what happened to my daughter once. You know, I was never worried about her, but her father always had worries. So one night she's getting ready to go out, and he stops her. He says, I want to tell you one thing. Keep your legs crossed, no stand.
No, it never came from Daddy. Never talked to me like that.
Then who?
You did.
Okay, I did.
The only thing he taught me is if you're going to drink, he said, I'll show you what to drink. You sip it, and that's all you order is the one drink. That was it. But he never questioned me. You were the one that told me what time to be home. And boy, was I
I told her what time to be home, and I told her to keep her legs crossed, no samples either.
Yeah, that was not my father. He didn't talk like that. He may have taken me ice skating and roller skating and bike riding and everything.
And
but
I don't
he
remember
never told
any
me
of
that. See, he always did something with it.
John, I never had skates in my life. I never had a bicycle. So I wanted to make sure that my children had all that. And they did.
Do you remember the Depression at all? 1929?
I remember having a car that didn't run. A rumble seat.
We didn't suffer too much with the Depression.
No.
No. Because High was with Serta, doing very, very well. He was with Serta for 38 years. And he became from a bookkeeper to general manager, sales manager, credit manager, hiring manager. He was a complete overall. In fact, we went on a cruise one year, and we had a telephone call on the cruise. Pringle Furniture, I don't know whether you remember, you would know, was one of our largest accounts, and they were downtown. A real class account. And they had ordered, I don't know how many mattresses from Serta, and it used to be Progress Bed. It was changed. Serta Restaurant, Serta Perfect Sleeper. And they canceled the order. And Eugene Kraft, who was Harry's son, called us on the ship. What can I do about it? So I called Pringle Furniture. The reason they canceled was when they got the mattresses, they inspected them. One of the mattresses had an extra Serta ticket on it that they stick on. And when they picked it up, the mattress had a hole in it. And the ticking, just in the ticking. So they sent the whole order back.
Why?
Because I remember things totally different. You want to know the truth? And some of it, I want to talk to her about it.
No.
Or can I talk on camera?
No, well,
Just leave it alone?
About what, Mark?
go ahead, just discuss it.
First of all, Dad had a terrible time. I don't care how good a job he had. He was always on the Morris plan. We moved in with Bobby and Aunt Ann with that stupid dog that was scared the hell out of
Not
me.
us.
Yes, us.
When?
We lived with Bobby Shangle and Aunt Ann and that dog. That miserable, creepy dog that lived in the
On
hallway.
what street?
Oh, come on, Mike.
How long were we there?
How old would you have been?
I was little. I was
Yeah.
real little. I remember that well.
Let's put it this
My father
way.
didn't have any money.
He
Dad
always
moved in.
made a salary. If we moved in, it couldn't have been for too long because we moved
Jim
out
wasn't
real
born
fast.
yet. It was just the three of us that moved in. So
That's right.
couldn't have been
no,
for
Jim
long,
was
then.
little. Jim was little, but he was sick, and my father ran out of money. We used to, they had room. We moved in.
We
It
didn't.
was terrible.
I can't complain about the Depression because we did have a little, he was always got a salary, and little by little he got a raise. And then when he was promoted, that was it. And then at one time he came home, he says, I am getting a certain amount, every mattress that goes out of that factory, I get a percentage. That's when things started going up. We lived on Monterey.
We lived on Elmhurst. We
Cor-
lived on Cortland.
Cortland.
We lived on Monterey. We lived on Calvert.
Calvert was our last move. From there, I went to California for 1 year. Calvert. When we came back, we bought the house on Santa Barbara. Not that I liked the house, because we fixed it up quick. It was the only thing we could get right away because I was Hi and I were sleeping at Ida and Harry's. Maureen
I was at the Shulmans.
at Alice and Sam Shulman.
We're all within a few
Jim?
blocks. Jim was with you.
Jim was with
Because we didn't have a place to live when we came
We didn't
back
have
from
a place to
California.
live.
My mother, we came back after I graduated high school.
We didn't.
I spent my senior year there, so.
Right.
But we just picked up and came back right after, the day after I graduated. but we had no place to live, so they bought the house and we had to wait till we could get into it.
Is there anything you want to tell them? I want to say about any of your brothers? Any stories about?
My brother Phil was having a tough time making a living. Sam Schulman gave him $25,000 to open up a jewelry store in Garden City, Michigan. Oh, I can't tell that.
Why?
Because you're going to show this to them. They'll want to see it.
No, I won't even talk about it.
Will you cut that out?
Yeah, I'll cut it out.
Cut it out.
Finish the story.
Shut it off for a second then.
No, he's not.
Just finish the story.
This is strictly for
The
our
light-
family,
The
Mother.
light isn't on. Is the light on?
Yes.
This is for our family, nobody else.
Phil just couldn't get a job. He's a terrific salesman. He couldn't get a job. And Alice and Sam were our friends.
They had money. They had money that he wanted to.
They wanted to invest it, and he opened up a jewelry store in Garden City, Michigan.
It was just
And
been
went
like a new
bankrupt.
little township.
And Sam and
just
Alice lost $25,000.
He couldn't.
After he went bankrupt, he couldn't find it. I'm not going to say too much. Anyhow, he started selling. First he got a line of couches, then he got tables, then he got lamps, and then he went right to the top.
How did he get that?
To the furniture stores.
Through my father.
So why did you say it?
I'm making faces. Can you see that too?
Yes, we
I
can
thought it
see
was
your
through
faces.
Dad got him.
Right. All right, that's the point of the story. All right, what about?
See, as long as he could keep his own hours, he could do terrific. It was
Couldn't
just he
get up
could
in the
not get
morning.
up in the morning.
He had to
Sue
sleep
and Chip
till
are
10.
doing the same thing, though, aren't they? They can't get up in the morning either. See, I don't remember the same thing.
Doesn't look
she
good?
does. My father.
It looks
wanna run
fine.
Huh?
It looks fine. What about Jack? Anything interesting about
My
him?
brother Jack and his wife had a market, a fruit market.
Eastern Market.
And my mother
A stall.
and my father had a grocery store. But that was years ago. That was way before we bought the house. Because my dad...
No, Jack and Bell. I was grown up when Jack and Bell had the stall at Eastern Market because we used to go
Eastern
down there.
Market.
Yeah, we'd go down there.
My brother Jack and Bell always
Always
did good. They were always in business.
And they always owned whatever they lived in.
That's right.
The
And they
property
always had
lived in.
money. Because both boys went to college and
Well, they work
graduated.
too, Bell and
Gary is a doctor, and Lawrence was an antique. He had a gallery downtown,
not
an
in
art gallery,
for a while.
and he gave it up. Yeah, when it
But
bought a camp.
Right.
Camp Walden was Larry Stevens.
We didn't socialize with them when we were growing up.
What about?
Only for one reason.
My Bell wouldn't let him.
Belle was strictly kosher, and she didn't think I was kosher enough. So she wouldn't come to us for any of the holidays. But she didn't invite us either, so I tried.
She wouldn't let us be friendly with the kids either.
What about Harry?
My brother Harry?
Mm-hmm.
Harry died when he was 25. That was on Calvert. He was in the beginning.
He
Harry
spent a lot of time where
Harry
where we
was
lived.
living with my mother. He was the only one home. And he got into some sort of trouble. And his big sister, which means me, advised him, and which was wrong. You can't play God, John. I had no business telling him what to do.
What did you tell him to do?
I told him to enlist.
He had a choice.
There was no,
To
because,
go to jail or go in the army. So he took.
and he did. He did.
He went in the army.
No business doing that. If he did something wrong, he should have suffered for it. Let him pay the penalty. I don't know what it was. None of us knew.
No, we didn't know.
Nobody knew what he did that was wrong. But we knew that they were looking for him.
Who was looking
That's enough
for
to
him?
scare the life
Huh?
out of you.
Who was looking for him?
Police.
He had a John Bill Warren swore it out for him.
We don't
They
know
came
what
to
it
my
was.
mother.
You never
She
found out?
called me up until I made out what she was talking about. Are you Joe? Joe Dole? You know, I couldn't figure
I
out.
don't remember him ever.
Then I
working.
realized
I'm sure he did. But
So
I
I
don't
talked to
remember
him. He said
what
yes.
did.
So I told him to enlist.
He was a nice guy.
Where did he get killed?
St. Lo.
He was killed by a sniper.
Right after the Battle of Cherbourg. St. Lo, France, in France. But he's buried at Reches Shalemus. He's buried right in the same cemetery with my mother and father. I was the beneficiary. When I got the $10,000, we put it in the bank for my mother, and my brother Jack took charge because I had nothing to worry about with Jack. But she knew every penny that went in and went out. So I had nothing. That's it.
Don't you have
I insisted we bring him back, and I had a lot of trouble. They didn't want me to bring him back. They felt that he was there with all the other soldiers and he should stay there, and I said no. And I wrote to the government, and they did it beautiful. We had a funeral with a casket with flags, and the soldiers came to give him honor and everything else.
Didn't your mother send him something once when he was in the army?
He used to call when he was at Camp Curtis.
Custer.
Yeah, and he was training there, and once a month he would call. He came home to visit us too, but once a month he would call, and Jack and Bill would come over, and Phil and Rose, and everybody would talk to him. And this particular time he called, my mother answered the phone, and I hear her saying, "I'll send you Bronfen, I'll send you, help you cold, you'll drink it every night, you know, the usual." And pretty soon I get on the line, he says, "Sis, don't let her send me a thing. I'll never see it. No matter, she'll send it. 2 bottles she was going to send him." And about a month later, he called again, and I answered the phone. He said, "Sis, I want to tell you what Mom did. I got a large bottle of Smith Brothers cough medicine. I didn't have a cold, so I put it on the ledge between the 2 bunks. And one night, my friend is coughing mad, so I said, 'Take a swiff of the cough medicine.' He nearly choked to death. He took a swig. It was whiskey. He poured the cough medicine out. She did. She put whiskey in it, and she mailed it to him. None of us knew it. Now, she got someone to write the address because she couldn't do that. But that was my mother. And that's it. Then we went to California for 1 year, which was a disaster. And I came back, which was also wrong. Because I was very happy there. He worked for Sealy Mattress, and
That's when he started.
they did everything that it was making the same amount of money at Sealy that he made at Serta. Even the mattress that he sold, he used to get a percentage of that none of the other salesmen got. He would have gone right to the top, and he loved it. But I did wrong. I rented a house so we could. If we'd have bought a home, and we'd have joined a temple maybe. I couldn't make friends. There was no one there that outside of Manny and Maureen. We just couldn't make friends.
No, you're in the wrong time period.
You were there.
I went to high school there.
You and
the family used to come out. We have pictures of them.
That's right, yeah.
Family used to come out all the time. You were never home when I came home from school. Where were you?
Where did I go?
I don't know. Where were you? You were never home. I used to climb in the window.
All right.
That I don't remember either.
Okay.
All right, so that was
what
California.
What family used to come over? Not Nettie and Joe.
Nettie and Joe and Ann and Sam and not Sam, Ann and Joe and Nettie and George Bell and the Deckers. We had more darn company than we had room in the house. We got all kinds of pictures of everybody.
And I wanted to go back.
Yeah. Well, you wanted to go back not because you didn't have anything to do. It's you had lost your brother. You had your family in Detroit, and you wanted to go back. So we went back. Dad liked it there. He always wanted to go there. He wanted to go when I was 5 years old. He wanted to go.
Yeah.
His family all moved back when I was little, and he couldn't because he had a good job, a wife,
he
and 2
didn't
kids.
enjoy.
And he
didn't
waited until I was in my
working
last
for
year of
Serta.
high school.
Didn't
Perfect time.
wanted to get.
And he hated Serta.
We had quite a discussion one day.
He wanted to go into business in the worst
Yeah.
way.
All the furniture dealers wanted him to go into business, and they would put up the money. It wouldn't cost him a dime. Go into business. We'll open a store for you because he was that kind of a guy. All the furniture dealers knew him. John, he had the largest funeral. Ira Kaufman said in all the years that he was had the chapel, he never ran out of flags. And he ran out of flags when Herman Gash was
ran
there.
out of chairs.
I don't remember.
Ran out of room inside. They were
They
standing
were outside.
outside.
Yes. Right. That's right.
course, I
He was
remember
so,
that,
the
though.
furniture dealers, he was so well, and I couldn't understand why a man who's making $50,000 a year has to go into business. See, to me, maybe the childhood had something to do with it. We had security, and I didn't want to lose it. I was so afraid if we went into business, something, whatever it was wrong. I have a lot of things to think of that I did wrong.
We all do. I got Richard.
That's right.
Oh,
then-
that's good, Mom. That's being left in.
No, I don't mean that. There were things I did wrong. I think I did better with you and Wendy than I did with
Yeah,
him.
but look,
Our
you
relationship
screwed him
is
up.
the
Look how he
bits.
came out, though.
Rick. I don't.
Just kidding.
Oh, but I think part of it is my fault.
Well, this is not your take.
Oh, okay, sorry. Take it back, cut it out.
And
Bye.
anyway, don't
We
feel
can't
bad
show
because he
anybody
blames
this
you.
tape but strangers who don't know these people. Nobody else can see it. Jim can't see
Your
it.
family
Chris
can
can't
see it.
Oh,
Phil
Rick can
can't
see it.
Rose can't see
No,
it. Rick can't
no,
see
he
it.
can see it.
Oh, Rick can see
She
it.
meant that she did a bad job.
No, I didn't do a bad job, but I think, well, never mind. It's
There
not
are
my
two
turn.
things you have to take out, and I should have thought.
Well, don't say them now because I'm
Yeah,
still
forget it.
rolling.
Yeah, when he
Would you
runs
like to
out.
take a break?
All right.
All right, we'll take a
What
break.
for? I don't feel like stopping.
Well, do you have a story you'd like to tell?
You want to tell some more Bobby stories?
I can tell. Yeah.
How about the one with the TV?
Oh, yeah, and the clock. I like those. The vacuum cleaner, she ever tell you that one?
Nah, that's too long a
The
story.
egg one is one of my favorites. Oh, my
Oh, during
mother.
the war, I'd like to tell a few stories about my mother. You see, I was an only only girl, because there were 3 boys. I wasn't the oldest, I was the second oldest. No matter what she did, if she had a question to ask, if she was thinking about something, if she had someplace to go, if she wanted something, like she wanted to become a citizen. I said, Ma, you're a citizen on past papers. You don't have to be a citizen. No, I want my own papers, don't bother. I said, okay, call Jack. I didn't say Jack, call Jake. She, what's the matter, you Nazi cuckoo? That was her favorite expression. So, I asked Dave Coleman, he gave me a list of questions, and I put the question to her, and she was terrific. Now, she makes up the papers and send them out, whatever. We get called, when I think about it, and we go down there, and of course, what's your name and how, whatever it was. Then he says to her, who was the president of the United States? She said, Teddy Roosevelt. I said, Ma, I'm whispering, Franklin Roosevelt. By you, Franklin, by me, Teddy's good enough. He didn't say a word. Then the next question is what killed me. Who is the senator? Senator? I'll tell you who.
Michigan, yeah. You got
Of Michigan.
Michigan, yeah.
Of Michigan. Senator Fagenson. From the Fagenson Pop
It's
Company.
Fago.
You know who was Senator? Ferguson.
That's close.
Fago used to be.
Fago Pop is Fagan's.
Was
It's
Fagenson.
the Faganson thing.
So that's the way.
That was
Anyhow,
nice.
she
Yeah,
got her
that's what she
citizen
said.
papers. She got her.
got
She
her
called
own.
me. I think it was 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. My phone rings, and it's my mother. And I get excited. Ma, you don't feel good. Something wrong? Just a second, Yoshi. I said, Ma, what's wrong? I'll tell you what's wrong. Do you want to hear what's wrong? I was watching, Eddie Nelson Eddie, and that lady McDonald, so she got the words out. I said, so? And I fell asleep. I didn't see the end. Maybe you saw the end. I said, Ma, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I says, call Jake. He watches movies till 4 o'clock. What's the matter? You're not see cuckoo? Bang, went the receiver. She never called Jake, but she was.
She never called Jerry or Larry either. It was always us.
When did Jake become Jack?
Always
It was
Jack.
always Jack, but the
But the Jewish name
family
was
name.
Jacob.
Like
We
hers
used
is
to call-
Bosch or
My mother
Bessie.
called him Jacob. So we used to call it was Jack.
Because I always called him Uncle Jack. I never
When
called
she
him.
put him in school, it was Jack.
All right. Do you have any other stories about it that you want to tell?
About my mother, I can give you 50 stories about my
Well,
mother.
pick the best ones.
The best ones.
The eggs.
Huh?
The egg story.
The egg story.
It's
During
wartime.
the war, eggs were $2 a dozen, and it wasn't the amount. You couldn't get them. And my mother stopped buying eggs. And I felt bad about it. So, me and my big mouth, I said, Ma, I got a man that comes to the house, only charges 30 cents a dozen for eggs. 30 cents a dozen? Doctor, buy me 4 dozen. I said, okay. That was the first week. About 3 weeks later, doctor, buy me 8 dozen. I said, Ma, what are you doing with the egg? Mr. Greenberg, I want a couple eggs, Loma. All of a sudden, she calls me up one day, 26 dozen eggs. You hog the girl, I got the money, doctor, you don't have to worry. I got the money, 30 cents a dozen.
Right.
I said, Ma, the man went out of business. That was it.
She was selling the eggs.
She was selling the eggs, yeah. That's what she was doing. You want to hear stories, huh?
Oh, she's
Want to hear more stories?
Sure.
You know, she was married 3 times and divorced. In fact, on one of the only one I remember is we were never at any of the weddings.
Living.
Never. Got married without us all the time. But you see, she knew that Dave Coleman would do anything for us. She lived with him 1 year and she called up, I want my name back, Stevens, and used to change the name back. And she'd get a divorce.
What about Morris? Didn't she stay married to him for a couple of years?
Faber was a couple of years. His name was Faber.
He's the only one I remember. The rest, they told me were boarders.
But there was one man that she...
I was 35 years old when I figured out what the boarders were. My grandmother's boarders.
Boarders. Anyhow.
Because I was so stupid and naive.
She's married again. This was his second husband. And I get a telephone call. And he said, Mrs. Gage, yes, I'm going to sue you, Mother, for $10,000. I said, what did she do? I'll tell you what, she tried to kill me. I said, whatever his name, I forgot. I said, tell me what she did. I packed my suitcases and I'm leaving the house and I come by the window. She lived on the 3rd floor in the apartment. I come by the front of her house and all of a sudden the plant comes down and it nearly killed me. But I call up my mother. I says, Ma, why did you throw the plant? What's his name? You nearly killed him. What's the matter? You not say cuckoo? I nearly killed him. I didn't do nothing. I just was standing by the window looking. He was walking, so I moved too close. My best of was on it. It's on it. So she moved too close to the plant. The plant fell down.
Believe me, she threw it. No, and my grandmother
She did. Full of the devil that way, you know.
Now, you don't take after her at all, do you?
A little bit, maybe. Always told the truth, though. I mean, she wasn't... she was the... You know any of her stories? I take after her? All right, go ahead. What other story?
You don't take after her.
Who do I take after? Not my father.
No, I didn't know
My
him.
father was the...
You said it, not me. No, I don't remember Zadie. See, I remember Bubby, but I don't remember. Only thing I remember, you know.
I had so much empathy, is the only word I can use for him. You know, I never hugged my mother and I never kissed her. It's not because I didn't love her.
Just didn't
I didn't have time. We were always doing, everything was working, making a living, buying things, buying supplies. You'll talk. See, I'm sorry Jack isn't here. If Jerry would have made the video, and with me, Jack, it would have been so much better than both. Although Phil remembers a few things too, because probably
he's younger. You could try to.
When he was 7 years old, he was already, I think, selling papers. But my father,
I remember
I used to put my arms around him. I had so much
neither
pity for him
family
because here's a man that worked, that made a living, that could have been in business for himself, and he ended up an amputee with a stump. And we had to go to the welfare to get legs for him because we couldn't afford it with a strap. And he used to get infections, and I used to wash it and bathe it. My mother didn't. I did. That's right. And that's my childhood. And so, when we had so much security with Hyde doing so well, I didn't want him to go on. I was afraid of losing it. My children had, I think, everything they wanted. Even a fur coat, no?
Yeah, but you don't... See, I don't remember the things you do. We had a tough time.
And
until he didn't start making money until I was 17 years old.
No, he made money.
He made a nice money. Okay.
Maureen, listen to me. I didn't. When we went to California, we came back and bought a house. We came back and bought our house. But I will tell you one thing. I never knew what I had. I never knew what the savings account had. I never knew how much he spent. Never. I only know when I wanted something, I went out and bought it. And you know what? That was my fault. I didn't want to know. Everything I felt, he's the man of the house. It was him. After all, we had about 10 trips that he arranged for Serta, Bermuda. The last trip I went to, he wasn't here anymore. We went to Spain, to Italy, and then he was gone already, see.
Those are all
showed me pictures was Mike and Jerry. They showed me, yes. Do you want to see the pictures one of these days? See, I can get them if I can get them. He started taking movies after I died. But we had money. I'm sorry, Ma. We went on vacations. We went to Mackinac with you, with Belle and Joe.
Everything was on the Morris plan, Ma. Everything. Dad used to pay for everything that way.
All right, just drop that, okay?
Wait just a minute, more. We bought a house when we got back. How could we go to California with all? You know what it costs to go to California? I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Okay.
All right, so what do you think of your grandchildren?
I think they're terrific. I tell everybody. I lie a little bit, maybe. I told, what's her name, asked me, I said, my granddaughter's a child psychologist.
It's you.
And she's going to be a doctor in 1 year.
That's not you.
No. And then I have one in... No,
June 1991, so by June 92.
I have one in California.
How about 93?
That's also...
She said 1 year.
She teaches retarded children. She's got about 5 of them. So I have to say she's a special ed teacher. I have to say she's a psychologist.
No, she's not.
She's not.
That's none of your business. I already said it.
She has a master's degree, though.
She has a master's degree, so she got a big raise, but we don't know how much.
It's none of our business.
Well, you know what happened? We went out for dinner with Jerry. And Jerry Stevens knew that she had got a raise, and he came right out and asked her.
Did he really?
Wendy, what do you make a year?
I don't remember.
That's right.
I'm
sorry.
So what'd she say?
She said $25,000.
That's a while ago, I assume.
Yes. That's a while ago. That's what she said to him. She told him that. She didn't have to tell him that either. And if I were her, I would have asked him the same question, but she didn't.
She could have.
That's right.
What about Rick?
I don't ask anybody any questions anymore.
No, I don't mean about
And
his
if I
salary.
did, I don't even know that my granddaughter broke up with her boyfriend. I try to listen in the worst way.
You know she's
That
gonna
even
watch
if they talk
this.
loud, I can't hear it.
You know she's gonna watch this.
Who?
Wendy.
How is she going to watch it?
I'm gonna make a copy of this and send it to her.
Oh, go on.
I will.
But she'll serve popcorn.
You'll probably see this again when you're in California.
Well, then I can tell her about my 85th birthday.
What about your 85th birthday?
Anyhow, I don't remember too much of the Morris plan. Maybe a little.
I don't want to talk
I
about
can
the
only
Morris
tell you
plan.
one thing. When we moved to Calvert,
My father
we were
didn't have money,
comfortable.
so he used
And
to
you were not
borrow
17 years
and
old.
then-
When we moved to Calvert, how old were you? You hadn't
About
graduated?
14 when we first
That's
moved.
right. When we moved to Calvert and I bought a baby grand piano, honey, we were not on the Morris plan, dear. I'm
The baby
sorry.
grand piano came from a bond.
From who?
A bond.
What bond?
Dad bought me.
Bonds. You mean
The baby grand piano was $500 and we had it on Cortland. We didn't have
the first one was on Calvert.
There was only one baby grand.
This is what I would call a pointless exchange.
And then on Cortland,
Yep.
we didn't have a piano on Cortland.
Yet typical.
On Cortland, I don't remember having a piano. Well,
They lived together.
because I don't remember.
This is what life is.
I
all
know
about.
that when we came back, when we went to California, we were just getting to be comfortable. We lived on Cortland when we moved to, no,
They've been
Howard.
visiting for 2
when
weeks.
we moved to California. When we came back, we bought a home.
All right, what do you think of your other grandchild,
Which one? Richard? Oh, John.
John?
Did
the
you think
good-looking
about Rick?
one.
John, I tell everybody what a genius you are. I tell everybody that when you took your exams, there were 4 tests that you had to pass. Most everybody comes back 5 times. You passed all 4 the first time.
All right.
And that, you know what? So please, dear God, that's the truth. Everybody.
You forgot Jessica.
Well, it's a great-grandchild.
Well, you want to bring her
All
in?
right, what do you think of Jessa?
Jessa's beautiful. I wish she had another one. But one of these days, there will be another one. We just have a little patience. Just say, please, God.
Okay.
There will.
You guys want to take a break for a second?
Sure.
We've been talking a long time.
Okay, how much time is left on that tape?
Well, let's see.
It ran out 5 minutes ago.
We're at
I hope it did.
an hour and a half.
There it is.
And there's another little story I'd like to tell you about my mother.
Okay.
You know, she used to get on my nerves, but I enjoyed every bit of it. Dave Coleman once approached me. He said, Bess, do me a favor. I will bring you a dictaphone or something that I can speak into. You don't have to worry about no commas, no periods. You just talk about your mother, and I'll do the rest. And I'll take care of it, and you'll never be sorry. But I never did. Those stories are mine, and I just feel that they're too personal. And this one particular story was such a funny story that I don't know whether I'd want it in a book. You know, my mother was very careful about her health. Maybe because my father died when he was 60 years old, cancer. So once a month I'd have to take her to the doctor. And once a year she went into Sinai Hospital for a week. She used to call that her vacation, and that's the truth. This month I took her to High Mellow, and there was nothing wrong, but he had to give her something to think about. So he said to her, Mrs. Stevens, I want a specimen of your bowel movement. If he said stool, she wouldn't understand it. He said, so she got all excited. Something wrong. He says, nothing is wrong, but it's time I took a test. So what should I do? He said, and called me in. He says, Betty, Bess, whatever he called me, get a little jar and let her in the morning just give you a little specimen and take it to Herman Kiefer Hospital and let them, I think it was Herman Kiefer, they will test it, and when I get the report, I'll let you know what it is. Okay, fine, that's what you think. From the office to the car, she never stopped. You're going to get me a jar? I'd like to take it in. Vinny going to take it in? I said, Ma, I'll take care of it. Okay. I took her home. That night I get a telephone call. Tochter? Nu? What's going to happen with the school? She gave it a name. She called it the Diamond. When am I going to take the diamond? I said, Ma, I'm playing Mars tomorrow. We'll do it the next day. Well, after 2 or 3 days, she became very, very angry. I said, okay, Ma, I'll tell you what. I gave her a Miracle Whip jar and a J.L. Hudson bag, and I took it to the apartment. I said, when you get it ready, you'll call me, and I'll pick it up and take it to the hospital, okay? Well, again, 2 or 3 days, she called me every day. The diamond is ready. She calls me up one day. She said, okay, you don't have to do it. I'm going to go to the hospital. I know. Again, I'm von boss. She found out already. Oh, I said, all right, I'll tell you what. You want to take it, you take it. And when you get there, call me. Now come and pick you up, okay? And I'm waiting for the call. No call. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. No call. I call the house. She's home. I said, Ma, why didn't you call me? All right, I didn't call you. You want to know what happened? She's mad. What happened? You got lost? No. If we get on the bus, I tell the bus driver he should take me to Herman Kiefer Hospital, whatever. And I get off the bus and go, and you know what happened? What happened? She forgot it on the bus. What happened? She said, I left the package on the diamond on the bus. It's on the phone. She's got a 4-party line. And I'm yelling, bus driver, no bus driver. Oh, I said, okay, I'll bring you another jar. No, you don't have to. I'm trying to remember the word she used.
Just gonna call lost and found.
She didn't use lost and found. If Farlitas and McGafintis, she said it's Jewish, see, you know what I mean, lost and found. Mrs. Goldman told her that's what they got. If I call up, somebody will bring it.
Turn it in.
I should call up. I said, Ma, what are you talking about? They'll look in the bag. They don't know what it is. Ma, I'm going to hang up. You don't have to bother. That's what they do. Is the light on? Did you take that down?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm dying.
All right. I think we should say goodnight.
Good night. Good night.
It's enough.
I mean, that's how you just want to. You just want to say.
You want me to talk
That's
about
enough?
my
No, I don't want you
your
to say.
grandfather's funeral?
No, I don't want any more stories.
What happened at the Wonder Bar?
No, you don't have to tell that story. We can save
What
that.
more? Huh?
We can save that for next year.
When
if
I
you want.
called Maureen, he talked to Maureen. This I can't understand. First place, we never used to call Saturday, only on Sunday. Only on Sunday. And we're getting ready to go. Esther and Lou are waiting for us, whatever. He's, I gotta call the kids. I says, hi. It's 9 o'clock. I gotta call it. See, it was our time. I don't know. It was 9 o'clock their time. No. Yes, it was. Whatever. He's gotta call the kids.
God will let me talk.
And he gets on the phone, and I'm standing there, and he calls, talks to Maureen, to Manny. Well, I think he even said hello to John. Talked to Rick, talked to all of them. And he hung up. And we went to the Wonder Bar. And we're dancing and dancing. This must have been about 11 o'clock at night. We did the rumba and got off the floor, and I'm walking first, and he's behind me. And he sits down at the table, and he always takes his glasses off and puts it down. And he had a glass, the waiter had brought him a drink, and he had his hand around the drink. And I take a look. I wanted to see somebody was doing some first step on them, see what they were dancing like. And he had his eyes closed. And I became angry. I said, if you wanted to sleep, we could have stayed home. And he didn't answer. And I touched his face. He was already dead. His head went down like that. And I screamed, and the people next to me put him out. They moved the table away, and they opened up his shirt, and they gave him breathing and everything. They pounded on his chest. And then the ambulance came with the police department and everybody. I was with the police. I drove with the police. Esther and followed. They took him in the ambulance, but they wouldn't let me in the ambulance. And when I got there, I couldn't see him. And that's what killed me. I ran up and down, and the doctors, the nurses got me. They wanted to give me a shot. I said, no. I must see him. We must have been there for 2 hours. And they took me home. Lou called me Rosenberg, I think. That's all. And then they called Maureen. Can you imagine that? Getting a call, your father just died.
I wasn't home.
I don't know how he could have done that to us.